This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick. What's going on, man?
Hey, John. So we're back talking about a series that I've been like going on about for a little while. It's like, and like if you've been reading the blog, it's like you maybe aware that it's time to talk about this series. And this is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's like the most Stephen King-ish like series of manga out there. I mean, well, it's like I guess it's maybe overselling it a bit, but JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is like a thoroughly like entertaining and like decidedly weird series that has been like going on since the 80s, and at one point seemed to be only destined for like cult like fandom in America. It's like I mean like I did like a podcast on its most um prominent incarnation, Stardust Crusaders, like years ago, like way back in like 2015 or 2014 or like years ago. It's like eons ago in like internet times. But it's like this is back when Viz was like making the push for JoJo's Adventure in paperback editions. Like they did like 14 volumes of this series, and like they did all of like Stardust Crusaders, like, and it didn't like push the needle as far as like fans are concerned. But then something interesting happened. Like there was a there were fighting games like released about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and then there was also the animated series based on it. Like crazy enough, like hey, it's like this weird cult anime series got an anime adaptation, and people actually like started to really dig it, both for like its first arc about just about so about like not Joseph Joestar, but it's but it's like the patriarch of the Joestar family. It's like fighting against its its eternal nemesis Dio, and then it's almost like ridiculous like hero Joseph Joestar fighting against like people who were trying to like eradicate his family line after that arc, because the first two arcs of JoJo's Adventure, Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency, they were fine. They were entertaining in themselves, but it wasn't until we got to Stardust Crusaders, the third arc, which is when creator Hirohiko Araki like finally like figured out how to make things click, because we've got it's like the main protagonist of Stardust Crusaders, um jo, jo, Jotaro Joestar, like who is like when we meet at the beginning of this arc, he is like in a prison cell, like saying like don't come near it because I've got like a supernatural force who will kill you. And that's when his grandfather, Joseph Joestar, basically tells him that no, it's like what you've got is like the power of our family, like a power of the tarot, who is like going to like who's going to like lend you its power as we fight against like our it's like our enemies. It's like, and Stardust Crusaders, it's like, as I talked about like way back in the day, is thoroughly entertaining. It is definitely the definitive JoJo's Bizarre Adventure storyline, because it crystallizes the idea that it's not just about like people like the Joestar family fighting against like its enemies, but it's also just about outsmarting them. It's like the series is like isn't about just like beating like your enemies into submission. It's about just finding out like how do I outsmart them. It's like and like it's like and deal this final blow to them with like like by just like finding a better strategy than they have. And and that's like the real appeal that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has, at least through these first three storylines. And then you get to this storyline, the one I'm talking about right now. Diamond is Unbreakable, which basically picks up after it's like after Stardust Crusaders, and you're left with like the idea like well, okay, you finally delivered the storyline that just like makes JoJo's Bizarre Adventure click. Like fighting against like the bad guys, but also just like finding out a way to outsmart them. It's like, so how do you further that? How do you like make that storyline like work out in terms of an ongoing like story basis? Well, I may have mentioned this before, but I think that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is kind of the closest we get to like a Stephen King storyline. It's like in manga, because like if you're taking like a very generalized like look at this stuff, it's like King's stories are very similar to like JoJo's stories. Just the idea that someone like just an average person like living in like an average town has somehow like developed like supernatural powers, and then they're trying to figure out like how do we deal with this stuff, that kind of thing. But it's like but with but while King has like probably more grounded idea of like how these people like deal with their like supernatural powers, um JoJo's creator Hirohiko Arakai has a much more over the top version of this, and that's kind of the appeal of the series here, because that's where we start with this latest arc, Diamond is Unbreakable, because well, it's like here we are like having just finished up with like the most like popular and well known arc of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Well, it's like where do you go from there? It's like, in fact, like, do you even like bring in like like the characters from like the previous arc? Well, because hey, that's what Arakai does. Because it turns out that the main character from like Stardust Crusaders, Jotaro Joestar, well, he's come to the quiet like sleepy town of Morio in Japan to meet a Josuke Higashikata, because well, as it turns out that his his granddad, Joseph Joestar, like the great like the goofy hero from like from arc 2 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and the mentor character in Stardust Crusaders. Well, it turns out that he like fathered a bastard kid to his like to his wife. It's like, and Jotaro has come to let let this guy know about about his legacy, because Josuke Higashikata, well, it's like he's got his own stand. It's like a stand known as Shining Diamond, and and while Jotaro is basically like here to let him know about his heritage. Well, it's like Josuke has already like got a pretty good idea of like what what his what his power entails, and that will be like the general setup for the series. Well, that's only part of it, because it turns out that that Jotaro has also come to Morio to track down the it's like the bow and arrow instigator of stands, because it turns out that one of the characters from Stardust Crusaders, it's like have the power to inspire other people to create stands of their own, and they're he's trying to figure out just okay, so what are we going to do here? It's like like there's a set of characters who have the power to create new stands. It's like, and we have to figure out just what are we going to do about them. And on one hand, that sounds like a pretty solid setup for the series. Like, we're gonna find the people who are creating like new stands, it's like, and deal with them. And that's about true to the first like 3 volumes of the Visit edition, because it's like they eventually like like Josuke, and Josuke eventually does track down the like the wielder of these newsstands, but eventually it's revealed that there's actually more stands, like more like creatures of these stands as well. Like there's actually a like like a like more bow and arrows than initially revealed. And that's fine and all. That's cool, but I think that the biggest issue I have with this series is that while it initially sets up the idea of it's like we're going to track down the origins of the stands, it doesn't deal with that. It's like it eventually like let you know that like like there are other people who are like like have these powers, and they're going to to create chaos like for Josuke, it's like, and his friends such as Okuyasu, who is initially like said to be like the one of like the like one of the antagonists of this, it's like this arc. It's like in the sense that he's like he's like working with his brother to like to set up new like antagonists, like with the like the specific bow and arrow set that his brother has. Oh, and then there's also like Koichi, who had eventually like who's also like shot like eventually shot with the arrow, but lives and is actually revealed to be like a stand wielder, like in his own way, but in the sense that hey, like his stand like evolves over the course of the series, and that's one of like the key points of this arc. In this, it reveals like stands can evolve and be and have their own and evolve different powers like as the series goes on. And that's interesting in the course of what Koichi does. Um, like Jotaro, sorry, Josuke, like he doesn't do that over the course of the series. Like he's just kind of like delivering like working with his like like healing stand, but Araki does a good job of like delivering a lot of like interesting like things with his, it's like with his stand's ability. It's like especially like the most like imaginative bit, which is when he and Okuyasu go to this like Italian diners like this Italian restaurant, like who basically like says like it's like like you've got to like it's like like he like you have to deal with like my abilities. It's like just like accept like what's going on here. It's like, and it's all these like like oh my god, it's like this is like it's like some horror movie like stuff here. It's like it's like you can't like succumb to okay, also you just can't succumb to like what he's doing here. But then you realize like oh man, like oh this is like a real trip here. It's like he's not actually like like murdering him. He's actually like making him better. But because of like what we're expecting to go on here, it's actually like it plays against our expectations, like quite well. In fact, like I think that the like that like Araki does a good job of playing against our expectations over the course of the series, but he also does a job of just playing into like what we'd expect from a Jojo's story. Just the idea that it's not about what whether or not we can like outfight a character from this arc. It's about whether or not we can outthink them. whether or not we can figure out hey, this guy is living on a it's like on a transmission tower. It's like, well, wait a second, like what if he's like got his own weaknesses to exploit because he's living on there, or what if the guy who can it's like you can turn us into paper because he can recognize our fear sign. Like what it's like what does he have? What can he do in order to it's like in order to like make us victorious over the bad guy of this arc. That's kind of like what happens in Mysterioso of the final of volume 8, because when this guy basically says like, hey, it's like I can I'm gonna turn you into paper, Josuke, because I recognize your fear sign because you bite your lip. Like Josuke basically says, hey, you better kill me right now, because if you don't, it's like I'm gonna come back and beat your face in. Like that's kind of like the general attitude that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has. It's like it's all about just figuring out just what can you do to outsmart the other guy. And even when it comes down to the series' most memorable character, Rohan, Rohan. It's like because he's like a guy who just he's a manga creator, and he's instantly is presented to be it's like a it's like an antagonist to Josuke and Koichi. He's eventually revealed to be it's like someone who is subject to the same kind of trials they're up against, because when he realizes that, oh, wait a second, it's the person who's who's out to kill everyone. It's it's also vulnerable to my stand. Well, I've got to deal with him as well. It's like I guess with with the series, it's there's unlike Stardust Crusaders, where it's like a thoroughly a formally progressing series. Just hey, it's we're just getting closer to Dio with every fight. With this arc, it just kind of feels like they're kind of just dealing with the how do we deal with these with the villain hiding behind the conventional everyday small town life that we have in each arc. And on one hand, it's it kind of works, but at the same time, there's a lot of arcs where it kind of feels like, oh, it's we're dealing with introducing a new character, but it's also just kind of simply advancing this meta arc about people who are meant to play victim to this character. It's and just just be victims for the overall arc. And I think that as far as JoJo's arcs go, I mean, yeah, it's I realize it's not going to be original or interesting to say that hey, Stardust Crusaders is still the best arc, but I still think that reading it's reading this arc on Diamond is Unbreakable. It still offers a lot of the appeal that I like in the series. Just the idea that these characters are just fighting against characters who are who are more clever than they are, and just trying to figure out just what they can do against them. The initial conflict mostly boils down to the fact that they're up against a serial killer who has multiple stand abilities, and like they're just trying to figure out, like, how do we beat this guy in the end. It's like, and this killer, like Yoshikage Kira, well, he's actually like a really compelling antagonist, in the sense that, it's like, it's not just about, them like figuring out how do you beat this guy. It's like he is like a vulnerable, like kind of weak antagonist, but he's also still clever enough to find a way to find to to find a way to like defeat and outsmart his characters, like Josuke, Nokiyasu, and Koichi. It's like, as the series goes on, it's like, in fact, it's like, it's like, I like the fact that, they that Arakai positioned like Kira as that kind of character, because, it's like, I like a villain who is just like, kind of trying to figure out, like, what do I do? It's like, like, the good guys have actually, like, got me in a corner here, so, like, how am I gonna figure this out? It's like, how am I gonna escape from there? It's like, like, from there, like, from them outsmarting me. It's like, and that's and I like that. That's kind of like what I generally like about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in general. It's like, it's never about how you outpunch the like the guy you're fighting against. It's all about how you outsmart them. And even if like Kira, or Yoshikage Kira, not because, like, when I say Kira, it's like, we're thinking about Death Note, and, like, no, this series is much better than that. But with when you get to the final arc, and even if, like, like the complications of, like, the new abilities that Kira has acquired are just kind of like, what, this is like ridiculous. But in the end, when it's like when Josuke just, finally faces, like, faces him, feels like he's facing off against Kira, like, like on like pure, like, on a pure basis, just basically like, hey, it's like, I've got my ability against you, it's like, and you're facing off against me, and, like, my ability, it's like, we're gonna, like, make make things work. I think it plays it very well. It's like, so, no, it's like, I don't think that Diamond is Unbreakable is like a it's like, a better JoJo's Bizarre Adventure arc than it's like than Stardust Crusaders, but I still think it's thoroughly entertaining in and of its own terms. Just the fact that, mainly because of the fact that, hey, it's like, it's all about just, facing off against, like, the bad guys, and just, like, delivering. It's like, hey, it's like, how do you defeat the bad guys? Well, I'm gonna figure out a way to outsmart them, and that's, I think, is like the core appeal of JoJo, as it is, and even if Diamond is Unbreakable doesn't quite deliver on that same level, I think it's still entertaining as a result, and it's also the reason I'm still gonna like, follow this series, and why I want to like, keep following it to the next part, which Viz has announced it's going to license. That's like Golden Wind, which has already been adapted into an anime. It's like, it's about, like the quote unquote son of Dio, but, we'll see how that goes. And, it's like, as far as things go, it's like, okay, you like JoJo's, it's like, go and pick this up. No, it's not as good as Stardust Crusaders, but I still think it's a worthy follow up, and it's like, like a very, like, thoroughly entertaining, in the sense that, hey, it's kind of like, it's a very Stephen King-ish story, in the sense that you've got, like, average people, like, earning, like, like more than average powers and figuring out what they have to do with them. So I I thoroughly enjoyed this arc, even if it's not quite on the level of the previous one. So there
So,
you go.
so basically, something to continue the revenge and hate.
Absolutely, man. Because yeah, it's like Jojo's Adventure is going on like forever. It's like, and it's like, yeah, I think that there's a good reason it has been going on for that long, not just because like it's because of blind obedience, but because it really is. Each arc like has its own distinct appeal, and I think that each arc is really like that entertaining as it goes on.
Sounds cool. So, do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Well, I guess we're going to talk about like more conventional like superheroics in the sense that Brian Michael Bendis's Superman stint is over, and hey, it's like I've got all the volumes for that, so I guess it's time to like talk about was Bendis's decamp into DC to write Superman like all that good, or was it just like kind of like eh just familiar superhero stuff and all.
All right, then. You'll have to stay tuned and find out what his opinions are on this one. All right, and we'll talk to you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, later's.
Bye.